Good morning, lovely souls. Happy Friday. It's Tim Wild, and I have got my lovely friend David Essery with me here today. And as you can see, neither David and I are in the woods. We are in our we're in our respective offices because we've tried recording when I'm outside before, haven't we? And there's the whole signal thing just goes south. So
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
doing it
So
from a.
it's a good excuse to stay in the dry today.
It is because it's not the warmest of mornings or the driest.
No,
So.
I've not been brave enough to open my windows this morning, so
Woo!
I know I'm hardcore.
Oh yeah. How you doing, David? Are you okay?
I'm very well, my friend. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm grand. You had an exciting event last night, didn't you, on Zoom?
I had such a beautiful workshop last night. It really was working with the wonderful Lord Fuseli to heal our
Ooh.
timelines. Yeah, and he honestly he came through with some incredibly powerful wisdom and
Hmm.
amazing techniques for just resolving past life trauma and stuff like that just easily. It's just incredible stuff. But that's the time we live in right now, isn't it? Like
It
we
is.
we're being pushed and pushed and pushed, obviously, to clear constantly. You know, that I think we've all kind of gotten used to that by this point. But we're at least being given solutions around
Hmm.
us to help us do it at a quick rate.
Yeah.
Because I think they very much recognise what we're going through at this point in
Hmm.
time, which is challenging. You know, like how are you guys out there in the collective? How are you finding this? How was the equinox for you? Like, what's been your experience of it, Tim?
Well, I had the pleasure of running an all day event with Karen Main, Gemma Jones, and Melissa Virtue on the equinox. So the energy
Mm,
was very focused, and I was kind of given the task of bringing of lighting some frankincense and dedicating a candle at the moment of the equinox, and I was guided to get everybody to focus on what they want to create. And I know this sounds like old hat. It might sound a little bit like something which you've been told a million times before, but it's never been more important than it is at the moment to be absolutely crystal clear, focused, and dedicated on what it is that you wish to experience, what it is that you wish to see. Because it's all like we've heard the word already, even in the introduction, it's all about the timeline and what and
mm,
the frequency that we're vibrating at, our thoughts, our intentions, our focus, our groundedness, our positivity, all of these things are creating this unification of a very powerful timeline that is becoming solid. It's not something that we're just talking about or hoping might manifest a little bit later on down the line. This is something that's going to be in place and very much part of our ascension process by the time that we get to the December solstice. So the next 2, 3 months are pivotal, absolutely pivotal. So, and like David said just a minute ago, we're all feeling like we're being pressure tested daily on our ability to hold frequency and what we're
mm.
focused on. And of course we've got the great grand matrix machine churning out, all engines running on full with like, like, it reminds me a bit like when they put the Titanic on full gas, and there's all the chimneys are belching out the black smoke. They couldn't be doing more at
Yeah,
the moment to attempt to keep the frequency in their favor. So we've got these paradoxes, these pushings, these pullings, and all of these things going on simultaneously, and it can be overwhelming.
yeah, and that's a really interesting point, and it's easy to see that as how dark the situation's got with how
Mm.
hard they're pushing. But actually, the reality of the situation is they are unbelievably desperate because
Yeah,
they know that it's all coming crumbling down, and
yeah.
we're going to talk about that a little bit more later on. But people are waking up
Mm.
at an unbelievable rate. What we experienced at the Lions Gate has
Mm.
created a huge shift, and it's not working anymore. So they're pushing harder and harder and harder to try and get people to go back to sleep, to keep people in that fear state, to
Yeah.
keep us out of our hearts. Um, but as Tim said, and I'm so glad you said that, Tim. About at the moment, basically, what we're being pushed to do is become the master of our own reality.
Mm.
And I received some amazing information actually from Snack Kamara the other day, which I've not shared to my page yet, but I will be later on, guiding us in this and just becoming aware and taking ownership and acceptance of our role as a creator, because it's so easy when things aren't going the way that we want them to look at external forces, to blame the
Mm.
matrix, to blame the people around us, to blame God even. We've
Mm.
all been there for the circumstances of our life. And the sad truth is that the majority of what happens, at least within our small sphere, is created by us, because our world is literally a reflection of our thoughts, of our experiences, of our expectation of the world. My world is not Tim's world. Tim's world is not your world. We all live in our own completely separate, isolated world that we are in control of.
Mm.
And you know, I think we can all probably think back to experiences in our lives where we go, yeah, I probably made that happen, with perhaps maybe some of the negative things.
Mm.
But if we can see that, if we can recognize this, like Kamara said this exact thing in the message. He said that if you can recognize something that you manifested that you didn't want, then you can recognize the fact that you can create what you do want.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and it's the importance of taking ownership of that, of saying, yes, I am responsible for my own world. I'm not going to leave the expectation up to anyone else to fix it for me. This is my world. I am going to create it in my vision, the way I want it to be. And
Mm.
he says, check out my channel. I will be sharing this very, very soon, the full message, if you want to read it. But he says that the real key to making this work is faith. And
Mm.
he says, not faith in the angels, not faith in the ascended masters, not faith in God, faith in yourself, faith in you to create your own world. And
Mm.
I think that is so important, because I've read God knows how many books saying, oh yeah, you've got to create your own world, you've got to set your thought patterns, you've got to focus on the things that you want. But when you're struggling to pay the bills or dealing with health issues and stuff like that, it's so hard to block out those fear responses,
Mm.
that they can completely overwhelm you, and then they lead your thoughts down the route that you don't want to, and then of course you end up manifesting things that you don't want to. But if you can accept faith in your own ability, in your own power to create your world, trust that you are creating your world, then
Mm.
really it's all up to you.
So
At that
important.
point you can just accept that.
That's such an important point, David. It really is, because it is all about faith and trust. Again and again, we are.
Mm,
The word pressure testing keeps coming through to me. The way that you would maybe pressure test a, on an oil rig, when they find a new
mm,
a new site, and what they'll do is they'll connect into it and they'll bore down and they'll pressure test it to make sure that the seal is safe and the pressure does not blow, like blow them all sky high. Or you could liken it also to running a fuse through a switchboard that's just been remade. If the voltage and the ampage are too much for the fuse, and I'm talking from a very non-electrician point here, but I can see how it works. If the current running through it is higher or larger than the fuse, then the fuse will blow. So what's happening at the moment is the training and the upgrades that we've all gone through is to make us a more powerful fuse, and a more intricate, more like a better wired switchboard, in order to receive. If you think, what you've been wondering what all of these new chakras were for in 2021 and 22, the solar junction, the higher heart, the altar major at the back of the neck, the opening up of the stellar gateway, all of these are becoming far more effective at holding the currents of light and the magnitude of what we are receiving as it passes through us. So the physical body has become top of the list for for creative, for the part of the changes that are going on this year. We've done the mental, we've done the emotional, we've done the karmic as much as we possibly can up to this point, and it's all about how does our physical body cope with this flow of energy. That's why this year has become so physical, and that we all have
Mm.
had to give things up. We've had to remove the habits, be they a physical habit, mental, emotional, all of the things that are programmed into us that we would regard as trauma based or habit based or something, all of the human stuff. It's basically us as human beings, but becoming fifth dimensional rather than third dimensional. That's, I think, out of all of the jobs that we've had to do, all of the tests and initiations, the human ones are the most challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. And it comes down a lot to sacrifice. We
Mm,
actually have to let go of a lot of the things that we want. It's one thing to be doing the emotional work and letting go of fears and traumas that we don't want, but to
mm.
actually have to let go of the things, the earthly pleasures, that
Yeah.
we actually enjoy is a challenge, especially when, we are supposed to be here to experience the pleasures of the earth. We're not
Mm,
supposed to be fasting all of our time, eating only rice grains, with no flavor or anything like that. But this whole beautiful world has an incredible bounty to offer us. And it's
yeah.
just, yeah, it can be hard. But then the thing is to find alternatives for us. The last
Mm,
couple of months, we have had to learn to cook. I'm not a good cook. I will put my hands in the air like
mm,
that. I'm not. And for a huge part of my life, I've relied on heavily processed foods. My
mm.
body literally cannot accept it anymore. It
No.
just can't. And I've had to start eating everything organic, and I've had to start cooking and learning. And I'm on a spice adventure at the moment. And
Oh,
trying to find new and exciting ways to make food interesting again.
yeah.
But it's just part of
Make
the
your
process.
crackers
It's about
taste
looking
nice.
in different ways. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Still dry,
What
but
can I
tastes
put
nice.
on my rice crackers today? Oh, I know.
Yeah,
Let's go on a spice adventure.
that's it. You got to think
Excellent.
outside the box a little bit.
You have a little bit. You have a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, totally. I feel you. I feel you.
yeah. But this world does provide absolutely everything to us that we could potentially need. It's a human trait to look to manufacture things as
Mm.
false replication for what Mother Nature gives us abundantly. So, as when one door closes, another one opens, should we say?
It does indeed. It does indeed. And all of this hard work is for a very good reason, David, isn't it? I
Yeah,
mean, you and I
absolutely.
both. I mean, we've we've had the honour and the pleasure of being, like being good friends and working closely on projects for years and years now. And
Mm,
what I love the most is when we receive like information that is deeply supportive of what we've individually received. You'll receive something, I'll receive something, there'll be of different patternings and formats, and then we put it together. It's like, oh my god, I see how that works. And it does,
exactly.
it fits together
Yeah.
perfectly. So all year I've been focusing on percentages. I like my percentages. I'm not particularly mathematical, but I understand ratios and percentages and how it affects the ascension pathway. When we began this year, at the beginning of the year, I was told by a very reputable source that 37% of the people on this world were connected to their mighty I am presence. This was the result of the work that we did this time roughly last year in Portugal with the monadic merge. So 37% of the people on this planet connected to their monads is massive, massive. It's a game changer.
Huge.
But
Yeah.
that's as far as the higher realms are concerned, that's just a number on the path to where we're going. And what they're actually wishing to achieve by the December solstice is the golden ratio, 50%, which is what I've talked about in my previous updates. And this has a remarkable effect on the reality that we used to live in and the reality that we are choosing to exist in. And this is where the information that you've received comes in, David, because it all just ties in perfectly. What happens when you reach these percentages, when you get to the point where 50% of the people on this planet are connected to their monads and have that kind of working energy? I've asked the question, it doesn't immediately solve the problems of the world like some of us might hope that it would do. Like, all of a sudden we're living in a fifth dimensional utopia. That was a dream that I let go of on the cosmic moment, because it was quite clear rapidly that that was not the way it was going to go. We still have an incredible amount of work to do. But what it does is it completely collapses the framework of energy that we were previously being so opposed by. And this is where, so kind of to dive in a little bit, David, what you've received on this, because I think it's so interesting.
Yeah, shall I read the message from Melchizedek and then we can talk about it in a little bit more
Yeah,
detail?
please do. Please do.
So this is a message I received from Melchizedek a few weeks ago. He said, "It is in recognition of your service as a guardian of the light that I stand before you today to deliver a message of hope. Hope for a new and brighter world. One where the children of Earth are free from the manipulation of old, able to think and act from a clear mind, able to live in alignment with the heart, in love, in unity, in oneness with all. This is the future that lies before us, my beloved, where the people stand tall in their power, recognizing their sovereignty, ready to forge a new and beautiful world. This is all possible, and a possibility that shall be realized sooner than you might think. The time has come to collapse the third dimensional mind net of old, dissolve it into the unified light of all those who stand in service. Once achieved, the final remaining power that is so tightly clung to by the old paradigm shall be gone. Try as they will after this event, there shall be no energy remaining to fuel their endeavors, and their attempts shall fall on deaf ears. In absence of this manipulator, it shall be but short time before the children break free of its rapidly waning hold and open their eyes and their minds once again to the truth in their hearts. In this I call you to action. Band together and unify your light to dissolve the programming of the third dimension once and for all. Be open to the miracle that follows. Yours in ever-loving service, Melchizedek.
Thank you. What
I
a
mean, when that
wonderful
came
message.
through, that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's what we've been waiting for
Yeah.
years.
Yes, it is exactly what
This
we've
is
been waiting for.
Yeah. So just to break that down a bit, the way I like to think about this is essentially when thoughts are given enough energy, they become alive. We all experience this through thought forms when we're particularly maybe if our mind's going down one of those darker rabbit holes and we really feel the emotion and everything are tied with it. We fuel it with that energy and it kind of takes on its own life force and it can then continue to reiterate those nagging thoughts to us. That essentially is what's happened on a humongous scale around our entire planet. There is this third dimensional energy construct that surrounds our entire planet, which has been built over the last 10,000 years by all of the negative aspects of human civilization, all of the greed, all of the control, all of the manipulation, all of these things has come together to form this massive energetic construct around the planet, which took on its own life and essentially has become a fuel source for the 3D matrix, for the control systems that they're trying to push, all of their fear agendas and all of these things that we all know about. It's given them fuel to empower their efforts in what they do. And that has been very slowly beginning to break down. since the cosmic moment, the more and more people wake up, the more it loses its power. And we've been doing work on this throughout this time. If you've been in my workshops, there's quite a few times now where we've been working on particular parts of it, like, you know, the healthcare systems and the governmental systems and all of these things, trying to break this stuff down. But Melchizedek is basically now calling for the complete collapsing of this field. And as he said in the message, just find it again, once achieved, the final remaining power that is so tightly clinged to by the old paradigm shall be gone. Try as they will after this event, there shall be no energy remaining to fuel their endeavours, and their attempts shall fall on deaf ears.
Perfect.
So, you know, they may well carry on trying to manipulate the people after
Mm.
this, but people aren't going to hear it. People
No.
are going to be woken up to it. They're going to see right through it, and it's going to lose all its power. And once that happens, it's a complete game changer.
It
We
is.
can finally step forward, you know. And that doesn't mean like a complete shutdown of the world as we know it. Tim and I have talked about this before.
Mm.
You know, the world isn't going to fall apart. We don't need to build everything from scratch. There are already people within all of these institutions that are around the world that are either waking up or have woken up,
Yeah.
but they are confined within a system that they are struggling to break free from, struggling to overcome. As soon as this energy falls away, these people are going to be able to move into position more, and people are going to be listening to them. Conversations are going to start, and change can naturally happen. It will be a natural evolution for us to then start moving forward as we go through the rest of this ascension process, building things in a new, brighter, and more beautiful way. You know, as you said it again, so that we can live in alignment with the heart, and love, in unity, and oneness with all. This is where we're trying to get to.
I love that. It's a point worth noting that I feel that we're very much on the way to achieving this anyway. If you think about the efforts that we're at, particularly in the UK, we're at the point now where there is stuff just being kind of like almost just rhythmically poured out of the TV screen, and nobody's buying it anymore. 4 years ago, they would have been buying it. You know, obviously there's factions of our society that are very much still kind of keyed into it, and they're very controlled. And when the guy ropes are let off for these people, there's going to be a period of time where the illusion has to then be broken down within them, if that's their choice. Some of these people might still be they might choose to continue to live at 3D, in which case when they step out of that field, eventually there's going to be another learning plane for them, and that's their soul's business at the end of the day. If that's what they've chosen, that's what they've chosen, and we love, honor, and respect their choices. But in the meantime, we've got a job to do, and that's to make sure that we are utterly focused on what we do wish to achieve, because it's very easy to get distracted by this information, despite the fact that you can feel that it's got no oomph. You know, when the oomph is gone, you can feel it. It's just words, it's just pictures, it's just scenarios. But we have to be faithful and trust that they do not have the power to affect us. So we focus on our own biosphere of our reality. And when we have hit that golden ratio, when we've got to the 50-50, the energy that is the energy will always seek to vibrate at a higher frequency. It doesn't want to be dense. It doesn't want to be restricted. It doesn't want to form solid objects and have nowhere to go. It wants to dance. It wants to express. It wants to love. It wishes to be free. So which energy is going to be the most predominant on the planet? When you've got that seesaw point and everybody's waking up, everybody can see, everybody's unplugging, but it's just the process of breaking down the illusion. We've got a lot of work to do with breaking down the illusion structures within individuals, because each individual is so powerful, they manage to hold that world in a state of reality. So that's why it's so important for us to do us, and to be us, to worry about what we are creating, not what anybody else is creating. Just focus on our reality, being as positive and as bright and as forward moving as possible, and just watch everything else around us reform to match that frequency. It's easy when you talk about it, but obviously we've had a lot of training now, haven't we?
We have, but just as Melchizedek's talking about with what happened with the 3D system, that enough people were focused on it that it built up so much energy. We are literally doing the exact same thing with a positive sixth dimensional consciousness at the moment that we are building by our unified light, by enough of us coming together, being focused on the same things for the same goals. We are building our own field around this planet, and the more and more people that wake up, the more that field will grow and become more powerful and support the whole solution that we're in. As as we were talking about earlier, as we all become masters of our reality and redefine our reality to that vision, which will be unified because so many of us are working towards the same goal, that all builds. It all builds. And there's just a tipping point. It makes me think of, and I'm going to butcher this because I can't remember exactly the story of it, and someone can correct me in the comments, but the 100 monkey theory. Have you heard of this, Tim?
I know about it. I know how it
Yeah,
works technically.
you can correct me then. But they did experiments basically a long time ago, and they were teaching monkeys on individual islands a particular skill set, and they found that once they taught, I think it was 100 monkeys or something like that, taught 100 monkeys this same skill set, that other monkeys on other islands, completely separate from the others, began to develop the same skill set because of a unified conscious field. And if I recall, someone did experiments with this on the television in the 50s, 60s, something, I'm not quite sure, where they were airing things in certain countries or something like that, and then testing people on the opposite side of the world, and they had the shared knowledge from the people in the ones that had watched it. As I say, I
No,
can't remember all, but it's
you've
fascinating
pretty
stuff.
much got that right. I mean, that's the principality of it. The once the conscious field is set at a certain point, at a certain percentage, like with the 100 monkeys, then everybody is working on that on the premise of that information, that knowledge. So that's exactly the same. It's exactly what we're doing, but on a much larger scale, but with ascension energies and higher frequencies. And you and I are going to be diving into this work quite soon, aren't we?
We are, absolutely. So obviously this message, this call to action from Melchizedek has inspired Tim and I to come together to lead a workshop to do just as he asks, which we are doing on November the 12th. We will be open to the guidance of Melchizedek throughout, but we will come together, that we will unify our vision, we will focus our light, and we will dissolve the third dimensional mind net, as he calls it. We will completely tear it down and open ourselves up to new and brighter possibilities. And Melchizedek has said that actually once we start this process, the dissolution is going to take a bit of time, which is why we're being called to do this now in November, because it needs to be done before the December solstice. If we're doing this in November, I cannot wait to see what happens in the December solstice, because this feels like the level of work that we normally do in December.
It
So
really
if we're
does.
doing this now, this is humongous.
It is, and if you look at the kind of the astrological importance of that particular date, we're doing this work on November the 12th. On November the 19th, Pluto concludes its 2-month retrograde back into Capricorn again, and then moves forwards into Aquarius, where Pluto will then stay for the duration of the next phase of our ascension process. So this is the conclusion of the final, what I called the last hurrah, basically, of this old Capricornian third dimensional control structure. I love the word mind net. It's
Yeah.
because that's exactly what it is. It's a net that joins all like-minded, like thinking brains, minds, souls, consciousnesses together to create a field at their will. That's how the third dimension was so successful. Once that's being getting
Sorry,
getting
you hear my
getting a
cat
thumbs up
crying outside.
from the person. Yeah, it's I'm very, very excited about this. I think it's going to be fantastic, David. And of course, we always love working together on the solstices. So the December solstice will be massive, whatever. It'll be great.
Absolutely. I am so looking forward to this, and I couldn't do this with anyone but you, Tim. This is,
Oh, likewise, my
this is the
friend. It's going to
culmination
be.
of what we've both been working towards for so
Yeah,
long. And,
yeah.
to be standing side by side doing it is such an honor. I can't wait.
Absolutely. And it really does open the door to the next phase. So when we kind of move
It
into
does.
2025, with all of its various predictions and stuff, we start making our own focus pathway and our own predictions about what we want to achieve and what we are setting out. Because the timeline again will be so solidified and so set at that frequency, and so many of us unified with that vision. It's the potential is in our hands, basically. That's the honor of this process.
That's it. It's up to us to create the world we want to create at this point, for us individually and for the planet.
Yeah,
It's
excellent.
remarkable times.
Yeah, it really is. It really
So,
is.
yeah,
So thank you for
if you would,
joining me this morning. This is it's lovely to do this and look into the energies and know where we're going. Yes, things are going to be feeling a bit squeezy during October and up to the 19th of November, because that's the nature of the energy. It's got to be that way in order to lift people into a position of self-empowerment. That's just the way, that's the process. So happy days.
that's it. The best thing we can do is just show ourselves love throughout it.
Yeah.
Just go with the flow.
Mm.
Trust yourself, look after yourself. If that means that you need to take a day off, sit on the sofa, then do it. Just
Take
don't
two.
push yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, just don't
exactly.
push yourself. There is no
No.
trust your intuition. It will
Mm.
always guide you right.
Yeah.
Always.
Brilliant. Well, details of
So
our event will be in the text underneath this update, and
yeah,
we'd love to see you there.
yeah, we'd absolutely love to join you all for this incredible event. Can't wait. And
Brilliant.
Tim, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor, as always, to be
Oh,
here.
pleasure as ever, David. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Tim.
Lots of love,
And we'll see you
everyone.
beautiful people very soon. Bye bye.
Yay. See you soon. Bye.